Is the fourth meetup for our Sassafras Tarot Manifesting Challenge. How is it treating you so far? I'm just raising my volume a little bit so y'all can hear me a little better. All right. How are we feeling? I see that no one is tuned in yet, so while I share this broadcast, because I know people haven't been getting notifications immediately lately, Facebook's been a little slow with that. While I share this broadcast around, here is what I want you to consider. It is the waning moon, particularly, it's the last quarter moon. Quarter moons symbolize a crisis of consciousness. This is a phrase I picked up from Cafe Astrology, which is a website I really enjoy, and I really resonate with it. Quarter moons symbolize a time when we take a look at what's going on and we have an epiphany, whether for good or for bad, that makes us say, oh boy. So, here we are. It's the last quarter moon as the moon wanes, and we are in a manifesting challenge, and we are having epiphanies. For good or for bad, what are your epiphanies looking like? That's what I'm going to ask you. And I'm going to ask you two more questions while I'm sharing this around. What is it that you're trying to manifest, if you feel comfortable sharing? How is it going? And I lied, 3 questions. And have you noticed over the last days and weeks, have you noticed resistance? Have you noticed things seeming to push back against you, whether internally or externally? That's what I would like to know from you. And, let me know. I was like, and what am I anding about? I don't know. I don't have an and for you. I'll tell you that you may have been around since day one, and you may know that I am manifesting grace and ease in my life at a time when usually, this is the summer, and I'm a musician who often performs live. So often, this is a time that is stressful for me and very, very busy. I'm trying to do things a little bit differently this year for the first time and not put all of my eggs into the performing live every 5 seconds basket, which means almost in some ways more work because it's a career shift, right? So I'm shifting my resources and shifting my time, and that's a lot. That's a lot for me to put on myself, and I traditionally put a lot on myself. And so what I've decided to manifest or attempt to manifest is grace and ease. And I will tell you, I have 100% been coming up against resistance. I'm going to pop a comment right now into the Instagram and see if I can pin that comment. We'll see if it'll let me pin it. It's not. Whatever. All right, let's get back to our comments, shall we? Judith says, hey, Judith. I saw your I saw what you had to say in our Discord chat. It sounds like you are doing like a ton. You are just like knocking it out of the park. Hey, Ruby, how are you doing? So good to see you. How is your manifesting going? That's my big question that I'm asking to everyone in these first few minutes of the broadcast while I'm sharing it around and catching up with you. How is your challenge going? How is manifesting going for you? How are you feeling? And have you experienced resistance? That's my question, because this is a point, this is the last quarter moon of the cycle where we often experience resistance. And what I want to talk about to you today is making that resistance educational and growing from it rather than allowing it to shut us down as we may feel that it's supposed to do. It's not supposed to do that. It's supposed to help us grow. I look at it like a pop quiz from the universe. Again, I believe that the most helpful beliefs are ones that you find to be useful and you find to motivate you and you find to make you feel like you are empowered and can change your life. So I believe this because it's helpful to me. I don't believe it because I have factual evidence that the universe is sitting there issuing pop quizzes to me and then grading them. Although, please give me a good grade, universe. I'm trying real hard. At least give me the class participation grade. I don't have evidence of this. I just know that it helps me to look at it that way. It helps me to say This is helping me grow. These challenges, this resistance are a lesson put in place for my highest good so that I can move along my path better. It helps. Hey, Ariel, thank you for tuning in. Okay, sharing this around right now. I see a couple people commenting. So if you just tuned in, you may know I'm doing a manifesting challenge, and this is week 3. It is the final quarter moon. We were going new moon to new moon. It's going to be the new moon next week. The challenge is almost over. That doesn't mean your manifesting has to be over. If you're like, oh no, I don't think I'll make it by the new moon, like, well, so what, right? If you have made any progress at all, you have won the challenge. I'm here to tell you that. If you have done literally anything to improve your life, you have won the challenge. Because if you wouldn't have done that otherwise, and you put yourself out there and took steps, that's progress. Let's count progress. Let's stop grading ourselves pass fail. Let's instead, let's celebrate every step we take, right? Let's give ourselves the class participation grade. I'm telling you, universe, I'm participating real hard. Let's give ourselves the class participation grade, you know? Let's celebrate every single step that we take. Let's celebrate when we raise our hands in class and have the wrong answer to the universe's pop quiz, because we learn. We either get, when we put ourselves out there in this way, we either get the result we want or we get the lesson we need. I'll be real with you. I get the lesson I need more often than not, and sometimes it pisses me off. You know, sometimes I just want it to be easy. I'm like, come on, baby, give me that grace and ease. But it is what it is. And the lesson that we need is ultimately going to serve us better, right? Because we can go use that again and again. It doesn't just apply once to this one thing we want to create right now in our lives. It's going to apply for the rest of our lives. It's helping our higher growth. I see a couple of things in the comments. I see Judah saying, I live with resistance. Big mood. Now I am resisting the resistance. Yes, I love it. It makes me think of that Dr. Seuss poem. And I know there are some, some feelings and some problematic facts in Dr. Seuss's history and all of that. And I know that there have been some works that, came out to later be a little bit like questionable, but whatever. This particular poem, I love, and it's about troubles, and it's about like having so many troubles, and basically the gist of it, the final line was like, I've bought a big bat, I've got it all figured out, you see, now my troubles are going to have trouble with me. And I love it. It's just the best. Like, look it up. I don't know what it's called or anything like that, but it's a great poem, and it's very cute and also very motivational. All right, maybe I've shared this 3 times. Maybe I've shared it once. Who can say? That's enough sharing for today. Judith is resisting the resistance. Judith is manifesting cleaning, throwing out, and organization this week. I love it. And that's like a big, beautiful, what's the word? That is very timely with the waning moon. We talked last week, if you were here for last week's thing, about how as the moon wanes, we should begin to take actions that don't look like expanding and growing and creating and starting new things. We should begin to take actions that look like clearing out and reducing and decluttering and simplifying. And that's hard for me as like a Virgo workaholic person, as someone who's super goal oriented, always trying to get to the next level, always trying to push, always trying to create beautiful change in my life and trying to move my career forward. It is hard for me to understand and process that during the waning moon, I should be taking actions to simplify and make smaller rather than grow. But I have learned the hard way that when I do these things, overall my growth is better. When I view life as a cycle where I'm expanding and then I am relaxing, kind of like a yoga pose, as you breathe, as you inhale, you're doing the stretch, and as you exhale, you're relaxing into the pose. And ultimately, through those 2 actions joined together cyclically is how you grow your practice and how you find your inner peace. So, it's hard. That's my final thesis statement is it's friggin' hard. I'm a workaholic and we have a workaholic culture. And when I say I'm a workaholic, by the way, I don't mean it like, oh, ha ha ha, I work really hard. I mean like it's something I struggle with. It's truly something that I think about quite regularly and ask myself what I can do to work in a healthy way this week rather than an unhealthy way. And I'll tell you, honestly, the last 2 days off that I had that were scheduled on my calendar to be days off, I turned into work days by mistake. I was like, oh, I'll just do this one thing. And I look at the clock and hours have gone by and I've been working the whole time. And as a result, I'm manifesting grace and ease over here. Let me tell you, I haven't felt much grace and ease because I haven't given myself a friggin' break. So, do as I say, not as I do. My mom used to say that to me all the time. Let me be the, like, be the mistake that you learn from. Allow this time to be a time where you think smaller rather than bigger, where we think in terms of reduction and clearing out rather than constant growth and constant pushing. Because I promise you, because I've seen it in action, even though like I'm still trying to get the message through my own thick head, I promise you that's what makes growth happen. When we give ourselves room for both things, when we give ourselves room to expand and contract, just as our lungs do, as above, so below, just as everything in the universe does, there are seasons of growth, there are seasons of reduction and contraction, and it's healthy and it's normal, and it doesn't mean that you're failing. All right, I see some comments. I want to look at these comments. Judith says, great poem. Okay, yes, you know the poem. It's awesome. Okay, Patty Bell says, I'm maxing out my bandwidth and processing by uploading and compressing a gazillion things at one time. Big mood. Ooh, Judith says, Saturn is squaring Uranus now. Judith, first of all, I'm not going to make a goofy joke about that planet, even though I'm tempted to. Can you, because you're an astrology person and you know astrology, can you tell us what that means for us? I know that... I know Saturn has to do with structure, and I think of Saturn like similarly to how I think about Capricorn, of like structure and rigidity. But I don't feel like I have a good understanding of like Saturn squaring Uranus, there it is. Tell us what that means. Patty Bell says, working on 5 things at once right here. Don't do it. Don't. Patty Bell and I feel like are actually like, I think we're maybe each other's sponsors in Workaholics Anonymous because we often check in with each other and are like, how are you doing? And we're both like overwhelmed and I have so much to do. So let's talk about you guys. Let's be real in particular, because this is shadow work that we're doing right now. This is the real nitty-gritty truth of manifesting. Because if you read like The Secret and listen to these, multiple minds that speak about the law of attraction and manifestation and the new thought movement, it's sometimes called, this idea of, co-creating your reality. Or some people just say creating your reality, but I like the concept of it being co-creating because, hey, we're not, I think it's narcissistic to say that we create our own reality exclusively. We are in this big giant fishbowl called Earth with a whole bunch of other humans and other animals and other entities, right? And every single one of us is on our own journey, is on our own quest. So you know what? My reality that I'm creating is going to affect your reality that you're creating. Sometimes on purpose, sometimes on accident. Sometimes we're just going to bump into each other, right? So I don't like this. I think it's unrealistic and oversimplified to say that we create our own reality and that everything that happens to you is a result of your thoughts. I think that's like kind of, that's like, oh, you naughty kid having those bad thoughts. Like that's not helpful. That mindset has never helped anyone. We have to be allowed to be human. Let's acknowledge that we co-create our reality and each other's reality, right? Every day we create the reality of the people around us. If we get out of bed on the wrong side of the bed that day and we're having a crappy day and things are going wrong, and as a result, like we go buy our coffee at 7-Eleven and are a stupid grouch to the person behind the counter making her day worse, and then we're in traffic and we're not looking where we're going because we're distracted, and maybe we cut someone off, maybe we don't even know it, and we just made someone else's day worse, right? We don't just affect our reality, we affect the reality of everyone around us, and vice versa. Sometimes it's a lesson from the universe. Sometimes you did manifest that thing and you need to learn from it. And sometimes someone's just having a crappy day. And you happen to be in the line of fire, you know? So, like, let's take a grain of salt with everything. Okay, Judith says Saturn in Aquarius now is structure and discipline in the sign of let's be crazy and creative versus Uranus that loves to upturn the apple cart in frickin' Taurus. In conclusion, therefore, I'm going to put this comment up so y'all can see it. In conclusion, big bull in a china shop. So it sounds to me like these ideas are colliding, not just for us right now as we manifest, and believe me, they're colliding in a big idea, but these ideas of like structure and discipline around creativity, you know, around creativity and joy and partying. And just like Uranus, like you said, loves to upturn the apple cart. So like big surprises in Taurus, which again is kind of a structurally sign. It's an earth sign. It's a sign that I almost feel like that's a unifying bridge, right? Because a Taurus is hardworking and also hard partying. We work hard, we play hard. I say we, I'm a Virgo. I work hard and I don't play at all. Anyway, really interesting. So Saturn squaring Uranus right now. Is that affecting us? I don't know. Maybe. Are we affecting it? I always think it's really interesting with astrology, how astrology often aligns with what's going on in my life. But there's a bunch of free will, right? Like, I didn't go check what was happening in the skies to see what would go on during this manifesting challenge. I was just like, I'm going to do a manifesting challenge. When's the next new moon, right? So it's interesting how there's that confluence of like my free will and like whatever's going on, which I guess I could have like looked at a chart and predicted, but I sure didn't in my life. Anyway, I think it's just interesting, the confluence of those two influences. Or is it influences, or is it just more context? Is it context for us to understand our life better, you know? I really like to look at astrology and other things as an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to learn, as something, as a context that's useful to us. Instead of, I think it's really easy, and I'm certainly guilty of it, you know, when Mercury's in retrograde, for instance, which is the big common example, to be like, oh, well, Mercury's in retrograde, what are you gonna do, you know? And for sure I feel that way and get grumped out sometimes, but it's an opportunity for learning. We just talked about how growth is about expansion and contraction and expansion and contraction, because that's the cycle of life. That's us breathing and our hearts beating and our blood circulating, right? That is literally the building blocks of life. Our hearts pump, expanding, contracting, and that moves our blood through our friggin' body and delivers the oxygen in our lungs, expanding and contracting, to the rest of our body. So what I'm trying to get at is both parts of the cycle are good. And if all you're doing is expanding, which our culture is stuck on, and so am I admit it. As Patty Bell said the other day, I have a problem, you have a problem, we all have a problem. Our culture is deeply workaholic. We have a problem where we're pushed to constantly focus on growth, constantly focus on achievement, constantly focus on bettering ourselves, whatever that means, which often means some toxic things according to the, cultural mainstream conversation. But that's not healthy. If all our heart did was expand instead of expand and contract, we would die. That would actually kill us. Our heart would not be pumping blood effectively. We would just die. If all our lungs did was expand, again, we would die. We wouldn't be able to get fresh oxygen in. That would be a big problem. And I really like this metaphor of our lungs expanding and contracting, because when we're breathing, we are breathing in fresh air. We're taking oxygen from the air, right? When we breathe out, we are exhaling our used up air, which has been converted to like carbon dioxide, If we don't breathe out, we don't get to breathe in again. If we don't breathe out the carbon dioxide, there is no room for us to breathe in the oxygen, and then we die. I'm sorry to be so dire. I don't mean to end every sentence with, and then we die. But, this is a real thing. It's a medical problem if you can't get air out of your lungs. So we need to expand and we need to contract. And here we are in the period of contraction, and we are bumping against so many things. First of all, we're coming face to face with the resistance that just manifesting brings up, right? It brings up our limiting beliefs. It brings up our fears. It brings up imposter syndrome. Do I deserve to have this? Who am I to want this? Who am I to go after this, right? And if we don't take the time to contract and be small and go slow, we don't get to learn those lessons. We just go on the friggin' hamster wheel, not getting anywhere forever. And then we die. No, I'm kidding. Judith says, oh, hell yeah, it's affecting everything. Be careful right now, driving, walking, and everything. And Judith also says, asthmatic me agrees. Big mood. Also, like, stay safe out there, everybody. I don't know where you're tuned in from, but here in New York, we have, like, I've had air quality alerts on my phone every day the last few days. We're having a heat wave. I know that a heat wave in New York is probably nothing to my friends who are in, you know, Texas and Florida. But for me, I'm like... Anyway, so what's going on? What kind of resistance are you facing? Because we learn... Someone just left a comment on YouTube and calling me Cupcake, and I think I'm going to delete that comment. So I'm going to go do that. We learn from the resistance. Let's choose... I'm talking about choosing a belief here. Let's choose to believe that the resistance and the challenges we are facing, and let me tell you, I'm in the trenches with you. I'm facing a lot of resistance and a lot of challenges. I'm like trying to manifest grace and ease, and I feel like every time I turn around, it's like, oh God, it's hard though. Let's choose to believe that the resistance and challenges we are facing are a lesson, and that once we master this lesson, we will get better at it. Not just will we be able to manifest and create the thing we want to create in our lives, but we will also be able to, what am I trying to say? To just grow, to level up in general as a human. What a nice idea. Patty Bell says, I have decided to take a complete social media detox for a week. I love that. 7-3 to 7-9. Making room, clearing my head, finding out where the resistance is. I love that. I like that your week starts on Saturday. Saturday to Saturday. And that's nice. That is the last part of the waning moon and into the new moon, the dark moon. The dark moon's a perfect time to be super small and super reflective, to turn our thoughts to things other than what can we create? What do we have to get done? Judith says, as the Borg says, resistance. As the Borg say, yes, it's plural. See, normalizing pluralized pronouns. As the Borg say, resistance is futile. Hey, Carrie, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. So my resistance has looked like, as I'm manifesting grace and ease, friggin' problems. The opposite of grace and ease, right? And I have been spending this last week asking myself all the questions that come up when we face resistance. What am I doing wrong? How did I mess this up, right? Do I not deserve this? Is this too big a thing to ask? Is this a dumb thing to manifest and I failed the first part of the test of identifying what to manifest? You know, I've been going through all the self-doubt stuff, all the imposter syndrome. Who am I to demand grace and ease when when everyone is experiencing so many challenges in this day and age? And I'm here to tell you that the way I've come to think of it is I ask the universe for grace and ease, and I have gotten some grace and ease. For example, I had a gig, I'm a musician, where the wind came and knocked over the tent I was playing under and both of my speakers. And the grace part, that's stressful. The grace part, though, was that nothing was damaged. I had stepped away from the stage when it happened, so the speaker knocked over where I would have been, would have fallen on me, and it just fell on the ground. And the speaker's fine. And it didn't hit any of my equipment or my guitar. There was another speaker that was about to hit my guitar. I saw it and I caught it. And everything was okay. And that does feel like grace and ease to me, right? Like, wow, look at me. Here's a thing that could have been terrible, but, grace. I'm okay. Everything's all right. But, and Judith says, bull in a friggin' china shop. Yes, correct. But the things that I have been experiencing that are more challenging are things like me moving backwards in my own ability to regulate what healthy work looks like for me. I'm self-employed. I'm the one who sets my hours. I am the one who decides when I get a break. I am the one who decides what my schedule will be. And I have a real tendency to overschedule myself and to therefore leave myself overwhelmed. And I've learned that if I do that consistently, I'm crazy and I make mistakes. I shouldn't say I'm crazy. That's like ableist. I feel, I feel overwhelmed. I feel anxious and I make mistakes and I don't do what I need to do, because when everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. When you're freaking out about everything, you can't get anything done. I feel that I have been brought face to face with these challenges, not to bully me or push me down, not because the universe has it in for me, or not because, like, oh, I just deserve pain or whatever, but because I have a chance to grow this time around. Here I am, growth is a cycle. I am refacing these ideas that I have struggled with for most of my adult life, and I have an opportunity to make a new choice. So I ask you, the resistance that you are facing right now as you try to bring something good and beautiful into your life, do you have an opportunity to make a new choice? Could you, instead of looking at it as like, oh God, one more thing, could you look at it as there's an opportunity here to make a new choice? And this is really hard. And like I said, I'm in the trenches with you. And I have been like having little mini meltdowns for the last week. I'm going to be real honest. In part because I hijacked my own days off. I haven't had a break in a while and it's my own fault. I'm getting in my own way. But me yelling at myself, you jerk, you're getting in your own way. See, no wonder you don't have grace and ease, is going to make my blood pressure go up rather than down and is not going to help. So I have resolved to look at this as an opportunity for growth and to ask myself, what can I do? What can I do right now in the moment? Think small. It's a time to think small, not big. What can I do right this minute in the moment to make this a little easier for myself? What can I do right now to address these big challenges that are coming at me? Because it's easy to get overwhelmed when we try to create change in our lives. I'm not just talking about manifesting, because that has a spiritual component, and I'm just talking about going after your dreams, just doing the practical stuff. When we try to create change, to level up in our lives, we face all our inner demons. That just happens. All the parts of ourselves that are like, you're not good enough for this. Who are you to do this? What makes you think you can face down all those obstacles? It's going to be too hard. All of those parts of ourselves, and we all have those kind of stories in our heads, come out because they're like, wait a minute, we're making progress? Wait, I didn't okay this. And it's hard. It's just hard, and there's no other way around it. And that's why this contraction part of the moon cycle is so important, to allow us space to, instead of take up all the space and do all the growth, to be small, to allow us room to let ourselves be small, to not be perfect for 30 seconds, right? To not be like, oh, thoughts are things. I'm holding my positive thoughts. I'm holding them. Oh yeah, that's going to make you feel good. That's going to manifest some good vibes. There's not any terror in that little diatribe. Instead, to give us room to be friggin' human, to give us room to take care of ourselves and be gentle with ourselves and take ourselves in hand and say, what can we do? Let's take it one step at a time, and let's take a break and let's have a snack. We have to treat ourselves like toddlers. There's this author that I listen to, Emily Nagoski, who has written a couple of really great books and has a podcast too. And she refers to difficult emotions as sleepy hedgehogs. And her thing is, when you have these difficult emotions and when they come up, you need to treat them like a sleepy hedgehog. If there's a sleepy hedgehog in your home or in your path and you need to get past that sleepy hedgehog, you don't want to be mean to it. It's going to get all hedgehoggy. It's going to get all pokey. You want to be very gentle and cautious with it, because hedgehogs are actually lovely creatures. I had a friend who had a hedgehog for a pet. They're very sweet, but you have to be careful with them because they get anxious, they get stressed really easily, and then they get pokey. So when we have these difficult emotions, we have to be careful. We have to treat them like a sleepy hedgehog. We have to be like, hey, little hedgehog, it's okay, dude. We're all right. Let's get through this. Let's just take it one step at a time. Do you need some water? Do you need a snack? We need to really treat ourselves like little kids and be kind to ourselves during this time. So that's our task. That's where I'm going to leave you today. We're at about 30 minutes. That feels good. I feel like, I don't know, I've lectured you enough. I try to do an even mix of, I try to be really empowering, but I also try to be really real. I don't want to ever be one of those internet people who's like, positivity, everybody, positive vibes only. You can do the thing, and doesn't acknowledge like the friggin' reality of being a human and the hard stuff in the world, and structural racism and structural inequality and like all the things that are real that we face. We face these things, but we also can take steps to better our lives. Both things are true. It's fancy. So that's what I try to give you guys. I try to give you guys a mix of that, hey, it's real, but we can try anyway, of that inspiration and positivity. And the kind of positivity I like best is belligerent positivity. Talk about building a china shop. I'm the guy in the china shop going like, oh yeah, I needed to clean that shelf anyway. Thanks. And I want to be honest too. I never want to be the person who's like, I know what to do. Listen to me. I'm in the trenches with y'all. This manifesting challenge has not been about me teaching a class. It has been about me showing up and us doing this together and us saying like, how's it going? What's happening? How's it working for you? And learning from each other. There's been so much of that happening in the Discord. It's been so cool. A lot of y'all are patrons. If you're on the Patreon, like we've been having really cool conversations, some of which have been like comforting each other during meltdowns. I definitely, I can think of a few of us in the Discord who were like, oh God, at some point in the last week or so. And what's beautiful is we're all here for each other, we're all here for each other's growth, and we learn. And we don't just learn from our own journey, we learn from each other's journey. So thanks for being on this journey with me. Next week, same bat time, same bat channel, 2 p.m. is going to be the final broadcast of this manifesting challenge. It's going to be the new moon. Judith says, what? Who? Well, me, for starters. I had a little meltdown the other day. I had a meltdown the other day, the second day off of mine that I sabotaged, that I ruined. And I remember coming into the Discord like a toddler being like, I'm not getting any grace and ease today. The universe is mean. So let's do this. We got one more week in this challenge, and I encourage you, instead of treating it like, oh, it's a deadline, we got to push. No. That's waxing moon thinking. I want you to be like the waning moon. I encourage you to look at this last week as an opportunity to go slow and be small and have your eyes wide open and learn. Take it slow so that you can absorb every drop of the lesson that is available to you right now and feel good about what you've accomplished. And we'll meet up here in 1 week. It will be the new moon, and it will be time for us to reflect, to learn what we can learn. And I hope you'll all make note during the week of what you're learning and what you're facing, and also what is making zero sense to you, because maybe we can help each other with that too, right? Like maybe we can have those meltdowns next week and be like, but this never worked out. And maybe we can give each other some support and also some wisdom around that and help each other, connect those dots. So I'll see you next week. I hope you have a friggin' wonderful rest of your day. Go slowly, think small, be loving to yourselves. Bye.